Hello and welcome to Mabinda TV. So for now, I'd like to look at the Gen Z protest. I'm looking at the Gen Z protest. So basically, will it culminate in William Ruto becoming a one-term president? That is the Gen Z protest. Will it culminate in William Ruto becoming a one-term president? So basically, today is June 25th, a one-year anniversary since the Gen Z's stormed the parliament buildings on June 25th, 2024. So basically, it's the one-year anniversary. So will Ruto be removed from power? Of course, it started as a way to protest the punitive taxes that the president had weighed on in Kenya. So the president went ahead to fire all the cabinet except Musalia Mudavadi and then Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. So basically, what are the prospects? What do the Gen Zs need to do in order to claim power? First of all, it needs to have structure. Even though it is leaderless, it needs to have structure. And of course, you have the opposition claiming credit for the Gen Z movement. You have the opposition claiming credit for the Gen Z movement. So basically, right now, you have Kalonzo Musyoka issuing a statement saying the Gen Z protests are now all over the country. So basically, I think right now we just want peaceful protest, and basically, William Ruto is headed towards being a one-term president. I think this is even more than the 1982 coup. This is even more than the operation from the Ruto regime is even more than the is even more than the 1992 agitation for multi-party democracy, because then you were charged if you took part in the protest and you were presented before a court of law. But today, what happens is that you're forced to disappear, you are abducted, you are in forced disappearance. So basically, I think right now the Gen Zs have died. More than 100 Gen Zs have lost their lives as a result of these abductions and forced disappearances. So basically, that is not what this country is. This country is demanding that there be fairness, the rule of law should take place, there should be freedom of speech. Of course, for President Ruto, he says your freedoms end where another one's freedoms begin. But then, of course, then we need to ask have the Gen Zs really given Ruto such a hard time? And I think they have given President Ruto such a hard time. That's why you find that Ruto is using the brute force. There is a squad of about 100 police officers that has been that its work is mainly to deal with the Gen Z. This squad of about 100 police officers. It does not report to the IG Kanja. It reports directly to the president, headed by the cousin of the president. Basically, it reports directly to the president. So what this squad of about 100 police officers do is that they abduct people. They abduct people, they maim and kill. Basically, all the killings. Look at Albert Ojwang. Who will kill him? It's a squad of these 100 police officers that are specially trained to be able to carry out extrajudicial killings and forced disappearances and abductions. So basically, they report to the president. The president said it is Raila Odinga that said that basically they should go further. There are saying sorry for they are saying President Ruto is saying sorry for all the abductions and killings. I think he said during the national prayer breakfast. But then, of course, you have why did he stop there? The fact is that this should go on, and basically they should go on and they should go on and compensate the families of those who lost their loved ones. And I think if they are compensated, then basically we can talk about a country. But right now, this is a failure state. This is becoming an autocratic country. This is becoming an authoritarian country where basically the president rules with an iron fist. Ruto is becoming a strong man. He is becoming a strong man. And remember, former president of Botswana, Robert Mugabe, said that Africa does not need strong men, Africa needs strong institutions. That's what the former president of Botswana said. He said that Africa does not need strong men, Africa needs strong institutions. So it is institutions that should be keeping President Ruto in check. It is institutions that should be keeping President Ruto in check. And I think he does not seem to obey institutions. That is what then President Ruto is killing this young man. And I think what we need to do right now is just to focus on a country that can basically is what we need to do is to focus on a country that can deliver the things it promises. We want promises made, promises kept. That's the mantra we need to have. That is promises made, promises kept. That is how we will keep this country secure. That is how we will keep this country on the verge of takeoff. Remember, Kenya should be a $1.6 trillion economy. That's what I often say. That is, Kenya should be a $1.6 trillion economy, but it is a paltry $100 billion economy. Why? Because the people that rule us with an iron fist. They steal money. Corruption goes unabated in the Ruto regime. Corruption. Remember, the former President Uhuru Kenyatta said that Kenya loses about 2 billion shillings every day to corruption. In his own office of the president, the former President Uhuru Kenyatta admitted there is large-scale corruption. So how do we tame that corruption? And of course, you have President Ruto going on to borrow money incessantly, money that cannot be accounted for. So why are we borrowing money that cannot be accounted for? That's what we need to ask. And I think if we ask these questions pertinently, then we will have President Ruto being a one-term president. And I think if we don't demand for accountability, then basically we'll have lost this country. If we don't demand for accountability, we will have lost this country. Basically, imagine the amount of money that goes to waste. If that money could be used effectively, that's 2 billion shillings per day. That's about 730 billion shillings every year. That is money that could go to development. Even these bursaries that the MPs are issuing to their citizens, these bursaries that MPs are issuing to their citizens, basically, we will need to have that money go towards ensuring service delivery for the government. And Kenyans have no problem paying taxes, really. Kenyans have no problem paying taxes. What they have a problem with is mismanaging of their money, stealing of their money, theft of their money. That is what Kenyans have a problem with. So, how do you think the Gen Z protest will turn out? How do you think the Gen Z protest will turn out? So, bye for now. Till the next time. Bye for now.